So concussions truly are serious business. One of every 10 sports injuries, 10% of sports injuries are concussions. So these significant numbers, and they're serious injuries. And these are a type of traumatic brain injuries where there's altered brain function. And the key to this, it's not only a direct hit to the head that causes these injuries, it could be a direct hit to any part of the body that transmits force to the head. So especially when you talk about contact sports right now, there's big concern for this type of injury, both in the short-term consequences for athletes and long-term consequences. And a big part of it too is we often discuss that we're at the infancy of understanding concussion. So that also makes it tricky and makes it controversial that we don't completely understand concussion in a way that we would like to.
So what do we understand about the nature of concussions? What are some of those questions that still need to be answered?
Well, there really are plenty. We need to answer questions such as how many hits are too many hits, how many hits will cause potential long-term consequences, when should we start introducing contact in sports, at what ages is it safe to introduce contact in sports, should we be monitoring the force of hits, should we use these sensors that are getting popular, and maybe just like we do in baseball with pitch counts, remove players from a game or remove them completely from a season if they hit a certain number of head hits. So there's a lot we don't know, a lot we don't understand. We'd like to also be better about diagnosing concussion. So we're looking at many different ways about helping in the diagnosis and when it's safe to return players back to sports. And these can be blood tests, what we call biomarkers. We need to understand better imaging studies that can also help us. So we have quite a ways to go in our understanding for concussion.
Head where you may lose consciousness, feel dizzy, feel woozy, not kind of know where you are, feel disoriented.
What I think about concussions. Concussions can really mess a person up if they're not treated correctly. You can lose your memory. So many things. You can lose your balance. It can affect you, long-term effect. You can get dementia from that. If you're not wearing the proper equipment, or you get a bump if you fall. A lot of people don't understand that a concussion is when your brain bounces up against your skull. So if you don't get the proper care and the proper treatment, it can definitely mess you up in the long run.
So there's a lot of signs and symptoms. Obviously a headache is a really important sign and symptom. Any nausea, vomiting, those are more the serious symptoms you look for. Slurred speech, memory difficulties. There's a lot of sideline tests you can put the athletes through, ask them the days of the week, how much time is left in the game, things like that, to ask them about their memory. What else? Lots of things. Feeling foggy, dizzy. You could go on and on about symptoms that they could have, but those are the most important symptoms.
If a coach puts a kid back in the game and he knows he has a concussion, he can lose his job in a situation like that. And that's not a risk that I would take, and I hope any other coaches will want to take.
Like I said before, they're going in the right direction. I think just really watching your athletes, having an athletic trainer there on the sidelines, watching the game. If anybody looks like they've taken a really hard hit, or an elbow to the head, or even in soccer, heading a soccer ball, just keeping an eye on the athlete, making sure that they're not acting funny on the field, they're not staggering around, just really being aware of your athletes. And if they take a blow to the head, just pulling them out immediately, checking them for concussion-like symptoms before you send them back in.
Yes, I had up to 3 to 4 concussions where my head just kept throbbing, and it just going back and forth and back and forth. Like, I just keep having real bad headaches. I went to the doctor. They told me I had a concussion, so I had to sit out like a few games, like three or 4 weeks, and just to let my body heal and come back together as one. Really didn't think a concussion could get that bad to where my head just keep hurting like all day, but it's a part of the football game, so I like it.